Good afternoon, it's Billy Turriff here. I'm a full-time property investor and developer. This is one of a number of series of podcast stroke videos I'm doing with property professionals that I worked with for a number of years. I'm really pleased to be joined by Mr. Josh Keegan today. Maybe do you want to give before I let Josh you give yourself an introduction first.
Okay, cool, thanks Billy. Yeah, pleasure to be here. So my name's Joshua Keegan. I've been in property now for the last 5 years after becoming an accountant and then deciding to move into the property field. Over those 5 years we've scaled Zest Property Management, which is a HMO specialist letting agent, professional HMOs in Greater Manchester, from about 19 rooms to about 309 I think we're on at the moment, and we've grown that through the years to build up a team of 10 to 15 people. I'm an investor myself, invest in typically high-end professional house shares and own a number of units in Greater Manchester, and also I do training, mentorship, and we have a training program we run in the Northwest.
Great. So the kind of key reason I really wanted to talk to Josh today was there's kind of two things that Josh really kind of focuses on. One is his own portfolio, and there's quite a debate just now about what the situation is with HMOs in the market. Is it saturated? Is the model overrun now? And then also the second challenge that a lot of investors have or need to consider is, should they actually use an agent? Then if they do use an agent, like anything, you get good and bad. But I'd be quite interested to hear Josh's kind of insights. So when's the sweet spot to use an agent? Should you ever self-manage? And also, how do you make sure ultimately that if you work with an agent, you get the best out of it for the investor and the agent?
Absolutely.
But let's maybe start with the market at the moment. So I know lots of people who do well with HMOs, but then I see lots of things on Facebook about it being oversaturated.
Yeah,
and
me too.
Strategies done. What's your thoughts on it?
I think it's very interesting, and it's always a very good topic for debate. I think what's interesting about it is the last 4 years, like I've been seeing it every year that the market is saturated, and that's been for the last 4 years. So theoretically, it should be getting more and more saturated. My personal experience and our experience as a business is that it's not. Like, we're not experiencing the saturation that a lot of people are. Remember, we only do Greater Manchester. We have a relatively holistic view of the market because we have about 300 rooms, and they are around all the different kind of satellite towns in Greater Manchester. So speaking from my perspective, my point of view, we're running very high occupancy levels, the highest we've ever ran, and in our experience, no, it's not saturated.
What occupancy levels are you typically at?
I had a quick look before this, and you'd asked me that. At the moment, we're at 96.7%, which is very high. That excludes any new rooms. So anything that's brand new on the market, we take them out. So anything that's been filled before, 96.7%. So it's very, very high. If you look for our void list, it's all the same offenders, and the investors that are out there that are saying it's saturated. Have a look at your rooms. If they're non-ensuite smaller rooms, that's hard work. You're competing against the mass market. Single rooms, an area which is not necessarily got high demand, then that's hard work. I wouldn't say it's saturated. I'd just say that there's not a particularly strong market there. But generally, what we're seeing is if you go to the level of quality that you need to go to, and a lot of people think they've gone to quality, but they've not. They've just done a snazzy feature or made it designed well. Quality is very different to design. I think that's the key thing. And you see a lot of people doing feature walls and doing cushions and all that, but quality is something different. The feature walls will get it filled the first time, but quality keeps it filled over the long term.
And how would you define quality then? What makes quality house?
I think that there's a good way of looking at it. So one of my favourite taglines for any company is Levi's. Do you know what their tagline is?
No.
Right, quality never goes out of fashion.
Okay.
It's solid, isn't it? Yeah. And if you think about why Levi's quality is, it's not just because if you look at a pair of jeans that it's a pair of jeans. The reason why Levi's a good quality and why they offer jeans that do last a long time, fit you for ages, they don't shrink, is the things that you don't see. So it's the fact they I don't know what they do, but they double seam it. They do all these things underneath the seams, and that means that they look good for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And I think that where I see kind of quality being in the HMOs that we do and a lot of our clients know how to do now, which is fantastic, is the things that you don't see. It's soundproofing, so people aren't getting bothered by the noise. is things like you have door handles that are latched on either side of the door, so it means the door handle doesn't break off. Like all of the seals around your shower tray, all the bathroom should be sealed so it doesn't leak, and so all that side of it looks neat. You should be changing stuff when it goes mouldy. It's like quality is like, it is that level. It's not necessarily the stuff you see. Like painting a wall blue in a room, that's not quality, that's just design. That will help you get the people through the door. But the quality, the features you put in place that keep it to that high level of quality, they will keep people in over the long term. That's our experience.
And how would you recommend that landlords, because I think there's kind of the build quality that you've got to do, and you've got to know, but then you see people live in these houses and rooms, whether it's walls needing touched up, whether it's people putting blue tack on, things stuff, or whether you said it's kind of grouting, etc. But how would you recommend landlords should look at the maintenance? Because I think that's a mistake. I've seen that with some investors. They kind of put something on, and 2-3 years later they call me and say, we're not filling something, would you mind having a look at it? They haven't been in the house for 2-3 years, and it's just a mess, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean that is where. So if you're managing it yourself, like you just need to be proactive. You need to go around to the property, look at it once every few months, like however you want to do it, and then essentially, like, or if you're managing an agent, if an agent's managing, they should be doing that for you. Like we kind of have a policy, and remember we've built Zest and the portfolio management company around managing our own portfolio. That's where it started. So the way we do it, because that's the way we want it done in our portfolio, is we have your inspection reports, and then we build up jobs which are called inspection remedials. So there'll be things like scuff marks on the wall in the hallway as you walk in. It's a classic, like that will happen. People moving in and out, it happens. Things like you'll get a bit of mold on the silicone behind you around your sink. Things like the light bulbs be blown in the living room, whatever it is. And if it's not a safety issue, like you just build all those jobs up, and then once every 6 months you get one of our engineers or get one of your own maintenance engineers to go around, handyman, and just sort those jobs out. And if you're doing that, you're spending 60-70 quid every 6 months, but it keeps it looking pristine. Like these houses, when you put it onto the market, 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, it should look how you put it onto the market initially.
What do you mean? You said interest, but what do you think people should budget for maintenance? Because that's the other thing I see.
Yeah. I put 5% in all my models, and typically, like, it does work out about that. So 5% of gross income.
Yeah, but is that also, that's probably what I'd call ongoing maintenance, is it? Yeah. It's not including when you replace kitchens, bathrooms, boilers, roofs.
I mean, so I've only been doing this for 5 years, so I've been investing in HMOs for 5 years. None of my kitchens are anywhere near that need for replacement yet, but like, how often do you replace it? If it's been done well at the start, how often do you replace a kitchen? 10, 15?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting with HMOs, because I think for a lot of people that's still going to come out at what time you do. So certainly any of the new ones I've done, I haven't replaced, and even kind of what I call some of my older stock, I maybe bought in 2011. I've got one house that each year I say it's not going to rent, so then I'm going to do a full refurb on it, and it keeps going. So I mean, if I bought that one in 2011. Person probably had the kitchen in 4 or 5 years before, so probably about 15 years or so. But roofs are more problematic, and boilers are more problematic.
Definitely. I'd say actually that's something we've seen more recently across the portfolio. Some of the refurbs that were done maybe 3 or 4 years ago, they're starting to have roof leaks coming in, and roofers are going out just going like, we can't keep patching this anymore. We need to replace it. So we've had some quotes out this week for $4,000 for a roof, $3,500. So that is a valid consideration. But I think as long as if you're doing like, I'd say like, because I've looked at my own portfolio, and if they're done to a good standard, it's like 2 or 3% seems to be what I'm spending on maintenance per annum, like as ongoing repairs. But if you're putting another 2% in plus another 5%, like if you're doing like your 10%.
Yeah, I think and it also depends on your house. I mean, if you take a single let, for example, at 400 quid per month, 5% isn't going to pay for anything. Yeah. So the larger the rent roll, that percentage should come down. Exactly.
And I'll tell you what is good about HMOs, for example, is like, okay, cool, so you've got a $4,000 roof repair for your property. Because HMOs are quite high cash flow, you don't, like, I'm not suggesting don't put money aside, because you may need it, but you don't necessarily need to, because your rent roll for that month may be £3,500. So all you need is 6 weeks worth of rent, and it is covered. So that's where HMOs are quite good from that perspective.
Yeah, so I think so certainly probably people should be realistic that it will cost 5 to 10% over the long run, and I think how you manage your reserves. So I've now come to the point when we do quite significant refurbs over summer. So we actually, we sit with it's about 100k. We sit in the bank account to do ongoing stuff in summer, any emergency funds, and then typically like one or two reasonable refurbs. But I'm just in the position I don't want to get caught.
Yeah, I totally get it.
Whereas, I also remember at one point I was developing a 27 pence in my bank account, which I wouldn't recommend to anyone. But I think when you start, you probably will have to take more risks. But I think the advice I would say is think of what that buffer is, and it can be a credit card.
Yeah.
So it can either be money in the bank, it can be a credit card. And the way we actually come to the 100 grand is we look at 3 months of our operating costs. We have what we're actually saying is there's no money coming in.
Yeah.
Can we operate the business for 3 months? And then each year we'll increase that. And I would say that I think that's a good way to do it. But even if you do 1 week just now or 1 month, because then that protects you. It's against voids, it's against maintenance, etc. The other thing that I find interesting with maintenance, and I have a bit of a challenge with agents about it, and also myself, is that you've got a cost. The roof's the great example. There's at a certain point, certainly when the roof will go up and kind of say, we're almost there, sort of thing. And then it's kind of work out what that point is, because if you've got 5 grand and you know that that's not going to actually increase your rental return, but you can put 5 grand somewhere else, you're going to get 20% return, but you know that it will cost you, say, 500 quid each year to fix the roof, or I've just done it with a boiler just now, it's pretty close to the end, but we can get parts for 300 quid, I'm going to spend £1,000 for a new one. My point is, well, I'm quite happy to add repairs to it bit by bit, as long as it, I don't want it to impact any tenants as well. So it's that hard line, but how do you judge that? Is it more just a bit of common sense, or do you give any kind of rules of thumbs with it?
I'd say so. Like, I think that if you work with an agent or you're doing it yourself, you just have to kind of take a view on it. Like, we'll never advise that roof needs to be repaired unless it's come about because it's leaking through the house, like it's coming through the ceiling in a property. Yeah. So if that's happening, something needs to be addressed, and you got to look at so it's fine when there's a little bit of a leak, but when we have a downpour, Manchester is bad for rain, and the ceiling caves in, it's just going to start destroying the house. And so often, actually, what some of our contractors do for roofs, which is fantastic, is they'll go and they'll charge I think it's about £125 to go and visit. They'll do any fixes they can when they're there, and then they'll say, but we don't think that's fully fixed, we'd advise these works. However, if you do these works, we're not 125 quid off. So you've got a temporary fix, and then you go through the quote process, and that works quite well. But I think it's also just kind of, I know we talk about cash is king, we're looking for cash flow. This is your house. It's an asset. Yeah, it's an asset. So when you put that money in, it is an investment in it, and it should theoretically boost the value of the property for that. When you come to sell it, if you come to sell it, the money should go in and should come back out again.
Yeah, no, and it's just cost of business.
Absolutely. It's just when you start seeing landlords run away from these costs and just avoid them, it's like we don't want to work with that kind of person. I don't want to be that landlord. Fair play to say, right, well, from a cash perspective, when you put this off for a couple of months, fine, that's reasonable. But when you start seeing people not wanting to do this stuff, that's where you start to get the territory where you don't want to be managing that house. And as a landlord, that's not the way I would personally want to go, or you would want to go.
No, I mean we're quite proactive with it now. So I've actually, whilst I use agents for 95% of my property, I've got my own facilities manager, and we'll go out to the houses in batches every quarter. We'll go through kind of 5, 6, and we'll do a list of stuff that needs to be done. I mean, again, I think it's a two-edged sword. I'm lucky with the student market in that, if you're lucky, some of them move out during summer, so it's a great time to get in. It's also, it's dry, so the guys can paint, the guys can do the yard. But then the flip side is you sometimes have them moving out on the 30th of June and moving in on the 1st of July. Yeah. And you can work around people, but it's a lot easier when you've got the house empty. Whereas with HMO professional ones, you don't have that luxury of having a house empty.
Well, yeah, that's very interesting. I don't want to go too much detail about how we manage that, but that has been one of our biggest challenges. Is around you've got the sales team, which you've got very high sales targets, and as a landlord, you want tenant in, tenant out. But from the back office, trying to manage tenants moved out, it's an absolute mess. The walls need repainting, silicon needs redoing. Managing that is a challenge. We've had to now put it so set the sales team expectations. They have to give us like it's 2 working days realistically, but they will still push for that same day, and we still do our absolute best. But it's like it's hard. I've spoken to other agents to get a view on it. Some of it's like as much as 2 weeks. They'll literally say it has to be 2 weeks before they can move anyone else in, and that's too long as well. But that is definitely a part as an agent, which is hard, and it's hard for a landlord as well.
Yeah, but I do think once you get to scale, you just need to accept maintenance is a key part, and you need to, whether you can, I don't want to say you trust them or whatever, but when you empower an agent to take care of your maintenance, I personally, this is my bloody asset, I've invested money in it, I want to walk around it. And I've had debates with agents where they're saying, well, just trust us, we'll do it, and we'll end the best one in the world. It's my house, so I want to look around. And I think, again, just having agents that have got multiple, maintenance guys as well. That's
powerful,
to me. It's a couple that we do self-manage, and you get a phone call and there's a leak or there's an electricity thing, and it's Christmas Day. It's going to be difficult to sort. Whereas if it's an agency, it's their problem to do.
Well, I think so. To come back and answer your question about saturation, so obviously maintenance is a huge part of keeping it at that level. But I'd say. I don't think the market's saturated. I think if you're investing quality, so it's not just like, this is where people get it wrong. It's not just like nice wallpaper and a wooden wall.
It's build it well, good maintenance plans in place,
and keep it in good condition. Then you shouldn't have any problems. But as well, you do need to be like very proactive with your sales and actually getting the rooms filled as well.
Okay.
Don't wait till you're struggling. Be proactive with promotions and stuff like that too. It's a big thing that people don't do.
And what do you find works well for promotions then to get stuff filled?
That would be telling, but well, no. So,
but is it price? Is it whatever 3 weeks rent?
Very good question.
Stuff. What is king there, or is it just different at different times?
Well, so the easiest way to think about this, I think, is the retail market. So, like, shops don't wait till they have a bad January sale.
Yeah.
They don't go, oh right, we'll see how we get on, and then we'll slash all the prices if it doesn't go too well. And that's definitely the approach that we've taken. So we now have like a seasonal sales strategy. So every single month we've looked at how many sales we make, how many room sales we make every single month, and then developed like a very like seasonal strategy. So like for anyone watching this, like you'll listen to this, but some people won't actually do it. Like January, we have January sales. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's like 2 weeks free. Amazon voucher if you take it on the day. Another there's just a lot. Like it's very heavy, and it's January sales. Like it's all about like January sales. February is all to do with, I think it's to do with Valentine's Day, and it's like if you take a room, you get a Valentine's Day voucher. March is like. So
about to say that you get to date a tenant, but anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, sadly they get to go on a date with me. That would deter a few people, I think. But then, so basically, So in the quieter months, we use stuff like that, and then we then toy that around throughout the seasons and each month based on previous sales experience. So like that works on a lot of levels, because number one, we tell landlords, right, this is what we're doing, this is why, and they go great, because they're not looking over our back then saying, oh, have you sold it? What's going on? It's like that's done, but. It also means you're in control. You're being proactive. You take control of the market. The worst thing is waiting until being like, right, this has been void now for 2 months. What the hell do I do? That's not where you want to be. You want to be literally, notice is in. Let's put it on the market and let's run these promotions.
And then what about so you've got the tenants in the house. What's your kind of view then? Obviously they can contact you for maintenance requests, but is it, you've got a single let, you just leave the people be and you do the inspection occasionally. Yeah. But with an HMO, you've got 6 bedrooms, 6 different people, and that's one of the things that puts off some people. They'll have arguments, they'll have fights. Do you try and proactively manage that, or do you just leave them to it?
Very good question. And it's like so. So what we don't do, and what I don't encourage what I wouldn't encourage anyone to do that does self-manage, is get too heavily involved in goings on between tenants. Like as soon as it's like somebody's stolen this from the fridge, or somebody's being a bit noisy at night, like that is not your role. Like you don't want to be getting involved with that unless it starts to have a real impact on customer service. So this is where it's a real difficult fine line. Like as an agent and as a landlord, like your duty from my perspective, is to enforce the tenancy agreement. So if there's a clause in that tenancy agreement that somebody's breaching, your duty is to make sure that they stop breaching that clause in that tenancy agreement. Like that is your duty. It is not to get involved where somebody's were going out and they were dating and they've broken up. That is nothing to do with you.
Do you get queries about that?
Yeah, honestly, like if I could write a book about all the things that have come through over the years, but that's not your go-to. So you police the tenancy agreement. Anything that comes through that's like that, which is very much about inter-tenancy disputes or anything like that, like we will. Batting them back is the wrong word, but we will kind of say about, oh, thank you very much for letting us know, and we suggest you have a conversation with tenant first, have you arranged a house meeting, etc., etc. We're going to close this task down, because they report it through an app, and we'll say, if it continues, just please let us know, and we'll see what else we can do to help. 90% of the time, the problem goes away, they resolve it.
Do you have like WhatsApp groups for the houses or not?
No, like we used to in the early days, but I think you kind of outgrow that. Like I'd say. In the so what you go through a bit of a journey, and you would have done this yourself as a landlord. I definitely did myself. It's like at the start, you're like, I want to be best with my tenants. I want to offer like this incredible. I want to be the best landlord out there, and of course you do. Over time, you kind of want to start distancing yourself, because when somebody starts texting you at 2:00 in the morning when they're drunk and they may have left their keys in a nightclub, that's just not the process, and it's not good for them either, because they don't get a level of service.
Well, and this kind of comes to that's my next question. It's a bit of a loaded one in my terms of my own view, but I also did, when I rented a house though, and an apartment, I didn't actually want the agent hassling me.
No.
So I didn't really want to be in a WhatsApp group with them.
Yeah.
But then we hear at the moment this big thing about co-living. I'm kind of interested in is co-living this actual thing? You see that everyone comes together, they want to have these multifunctional live-work arrangements, or do you my word is kind of property porn? I think sometimes investors get carried away with what they want, and therefore they think this is how people want to live. Because I tell you why I say this as well. So I remember being at a conference, and I can't remember the guy was a Scandinavian, and he was talking about we were actually going more individual rather than collective. And he was saying, more people live by themselves, we don't know our next door neighbours, there's not communities, and I don't necessarily think that's great for our long-term health and wealth, but to me it is the reality. We are actually going more individualist, and I do think some community stuff's coming back there, and I think that should be good, but I suppose I'd be interested in your views. Do you think people are coming together and they really want what this co-living is, or also is some of the co-living simply just different design?
I think it's really interesting. So what we've seen happen over the last kind of 3 or 4 years since 5 years since we've had Zest, and that's been growing, is when we kind of started, we found that the houses were a lot more sociable. They tend to be younger people, and they tend to be a lot more sociable. Like people were sitting around the living rooms, they got to really know each other. I think as we progress as a company, and this is feedback from the sales team to me, is that we seem to have and I don't know if it's because of the quality of the build, the room prices we charge, like the premium service that we aim to offer, we've started to find that the people that value that tend to be a little bit later, so late 20s, early 30s. And we've tended to find, because pretty much all our rooms are en suite now, so they are like self-contained, a lot of them have studios now, and we've tended to find that those people are very happy with the service that we're offering, and it's what they want. They want good quality service. They want a good quality room. They want like a premium house. They want like-minded professional housemates. But as far as we see, they're not too interested in us arranging for them to go to the cinema together or anything like that. They just want to crack on. And that's just our experience, because I know there's very successful companies in London that are very different, but from our experience, it's not.
No, but I think you hit the nail on the head. Again, I think the sector does matter. So first off, my student ones, I find very different to my professionals. So I go to my professional ones and do these cool designer kitchens and communal living areas, and I never see anyone there, and I'm always amazed by actually how tidy it is as well. I go to my student ones that have got very big kind of living room kitchens, and you've got like the 6 people in the house plus 10 of their bloody mates there, and in fact they're playing their games, they're drinking, whatever. But I just think the life cycle is that as you're so what the students do want the communal stuff, and they will link together. I think probably young professionals, you come down to London, you don't maybe know so many people, so you want to get a house share because of the cost, but also to meet people. Whereas I think up north, the rental prices of apartments,
Relatively
still
cheap.
yeah.
I think it comes to where as well. Like we're in Greater Manchester. I think that because we are starting to see these co-living blocks go up in the city centre, where we do the majority of our investing, where we manage, is more like the satellite towns. So it's much more like because we don't have Article 4 and you can get the HMOs up and running easier. Like
but the co-living blocks as well,
Yeah.
to me are very different to co-living HMOs.
Yeah.
And to me the reality is they've been about for some time as well, and it's more actually the design of them now, so that they won't necessarily have the big corridors that they'll have next to it. But in a co-living block, we did it in Dubai. We have your own apartment, so you're no one with you or your family. But then you go downstairs, you've got a bar, you've got a swimming pool, you've got a gym. So it's all about services. So to me, I think that bit is definitely 100%. You want to have all these services.
You're in the city centre, you're going out to bars together and stuff like that. But if you're living in the town centre of Bury, there's not as much to do. So to answer your question, we've not been really pushing it because the model we've got works very well. I think that the what we're seeing on Facebook and I think the thing that it is doing is making people are making these amazing co-living spaces and they are exceptional. So why not go to that level? Whether they're actually getting used, I don't know. I don't know how.
But also, what do you? Because most of the ones I see, so my view, it's critical, but it is somewhere you plug a laptop in. I mean, that's the only difference I'm seeing, to be honest.
Yeah.
It is a bit of a bigger living area with a potential place to put a couple of laptops. The rest of it to me is just design. We
have spaces where you can sit and drink a coffee and you can plug your phone into the USB port and plug your laptop in. So I don't know. Maybe it's just branding. I think at some point somebody's basically gone and they've said, well, people don't like this concept of HMO house share. They don't like it to be called that. So let's make it co-living, and it's like forward thinking. And maybe I don't fully understand as much as maybe other people do. But I just think I think if we wanted to go co-living, all we'd have to do is just start encouraging more social events and social interaction, and that would be our next step if we wanted to do that.
But as you see, I think the question is there actually that demand? And I mean, as you said, to me, I want to provide an asset, we need to do everything within the rules. And I actually think it's my role in society, and plus I don't really want to do either, but in terms of saying you guys should live as a community, or you shouldn't. I think if they come together, they get on, they will do. And I think also with HMOs, that people, to me, typically they'll stay in the professional ones in 6 months to 18 months, and it's a stepping stone.
Yeah, I agree to an extent. Yeah, I agree to an extent.
And what about then as well? So I talked to I've got student HMOs and I've got professionals as well. Mm-hmm. What's your kind of view? So you've got kind of students, you kind of have professionals, and then you can have kind of LHA. And then within professionals, you can kind of have, your kind of office jobs versus, your kind of more menial stuff. Do you have a view in those different markets, and also then how you would you ever mix houses with different people, and also even kind of males, females, age groups?
Yeah, good question. So we don't, we just do professional house shares. The reason for that is it's just the market we got into, and it's the niche we started, and we grew very, very quickly.
And what's your definition of professionals?
Yeah, so within that we do have categories of professionals, of course. So the way we always talk about it is you've got your blue collar, which is somebody that works in a factory, like overall style job. You've got your white collar, which is your doctors, your locum doctors, and then you've probably got your grey collar, which is somebody that maybe doesn't work necessarily in overalls, but they're maybe a manager at Topshop or retail. And there's nothing wrong with any of those positions, and we have HMOs that cater for all the different marketplaces. Where we, so all you've got to know your markets, because for example in Greater Manchester, which is where we are, we have lots of different HMOs in different areas. We have stuff up in Middleton, we've got stuff down in Stockport, we've got stuff up in Oldham, and they all have very different nuances. What we find is that different kind of HMOs in different areas, they do tend to cater for those different type of people. Generally, what we tend to have is typically white collar or grey collar, and that works well. That works well for us. We've got no issue with blue collar at all, but I think because of our pricing tends to be a bit higher. When we do have blue collar, it's fine, but we just suggest kind of keep those all together. Males and females, we just. What comes. I think we typically in some areas. Would
your preference be to have 50-50, or is your preference to have just one sex in the house? Or does that make any difference?
don't find it makes too much of a difference.
Right.
If you're not trying to be part of WhatsApp groups and trying to be friends with everybody, I would just think just see what comes. Do your best to balance it the best you can, but we don't see it much of a difference.
What age groups?
Typically, we're in a house share.
Yeah.
Would you suggest? Yeah. When it tends to be like the more premium style properties, like we've just done one 8-bed, all studios, like that will tend to be like late 20s, early 30s, like early to mid 30s. Yeah. When they're kind of maybe sort of lower quality, or they tend to be a little bit younger, 21 to 25, 26.
And would you deliberately, you got a certain age group in, so say you had everyone above 30 and then you had a 22-year-old, would you then just not simply put them forward, or would you still consider it?
It depends. Like this, so this is where it's very interesting. So obviously you've got one motivation, which is to get the houses filled, to get the rent up and running, get the rent roll.
Legally, are you allowed to discriminate as well on age or not?
I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, we don't is the answer. Like if somebody,
anyone's watching.
Yeah, we do. So if somebody's 22 and they come along, we know we've got a house full of like mid 30s.
Yeah.
Like regardless of their age, we'd still be checking to see like level of maturity.
Yeah.
Like we want to make sure that when they come in, like they understand what a tenancy agreement is, they understand they need to pay their rent on time, and all that. And if somebody's got that level of maturity, there are certain things you can like. This is called soft vetting, if you like. So you got your hard vetting, which is your ID checks, your bank statements, everything that you should be doing before somebody moves in. Soft vetting is very much what you should be doing when you're doing your viewing, or like your sales team should be doing. And like this is all things like have they lived on their own before? So have they actually lived in a house share before? Because a 22-year-old that's just moved out of mum and dad's, that's lived there all their life, is very different to a 22-year-old that's been to university, lived away from home, and then moved in. Not from an educational perspective or anything like that, although it may be different, but because they've experienced what life is without them, they've experienced paying rent, they've experienced paying bills, and I'd say that's much. You get some very old 22-year-olds, if you like, and that's much more that comes into it for us than the actual age. The actual age doesn't matter. Yeah. It's more about like maturity and what they've done before.
Okay. And then I suppose there's a couple of big issues still kind of out there at the HMOs at the moment. So single room banding.
Yeah, that's a hot topic at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen any in Manchester yet?
So for anyone that doesn't know what this is basically what seems to be happening. So if we go back to the definition of what the council can ban as a single occupancy property, so HMOs typically work, and one of the reasons why they work is because you can have a number of rooms, and you can rent each one out individually, and then you essentially get economies of scale, because you only have, although you're renting each room out, you only have to pay one set of bills, one council tax, one TV licence, and everything that comes with it. So that's why there's good margin in, that's why it's good return. What's started to happen around the UK is some councils are actually banding each room individually. So rather than saying it's £100 for the whole property, it may be that it's £60 for each room. So then, of course, that could be like catastrophic for a lot of investors. That's all the profit gone, all the margin gone. And I know in Reading this is happening. This has been happening quite a lot, and the council do have the right to do this. I think it was you that said about the definition, and it's basically any self-contained unit. It doesn't even have to have a lock on the door. I was watching a video the other day. Any self-contained unit. So what the worry is at the moment with HMOs is that it's going to get more regulated, and councils are going to latch onto this and just make extra revenue and come around and say, well, there's 6 people in here, we're going to charge you. At the moment, like we've not, touch wood, we've not seen it happen. Like I've not seen any cases personally, and I don't know of anybody within Greater Manchester that's happened.
I don't know of any in Manchester either. No. I know outside, but not Manchester.
But what we had, so at the moment, we're not too concerned about it. We've started to see videos pop up on Facebook about people that's happened to, and they've challenged it. We were talking about one yesterday.
And they actually won the appeal.
And they won the appeal.
So it's definitely still an area that's evolving from a legislative perspective.
It's another grey area, but that's what property investing is. There's so many grey areas, and that's where the margin is. So it's going to become black and white at some point. What we've done recently, in the most recent development we've done, which is 8 studios, and the reason we've done this is because the council weren't a big fan of us doing this, because essentially it was an 8-bed HMO previously. It had a HMO licence, but it had never been put for planning. So we bought it off the vendor who'd had it as a HMO for I think 20 years, and so planning basically was granted because, and they had to because it'd been there for 20 years, but they weren't content about it at all, and they made it as difficult as they could to make that happen. So we took the view of the fact that they're going to give us a hard time over this property. So what we did was we actually built all of the rooms so that essentially, if you imagine you got a square room Normally it would be, I just do that for the camera. Normally it'd be like you put the ensuite, say, in the corner, and that would make sense because that'd be the optimum layout. So, but what we've done is, say if the door's here, we would build them in the middle.
Okay. Yeah.
So what we can do is, and the door here is the ensuite. So if there was banding was to go in place, we can essentially move the doors back. So essentially, the bathroom comes out of the room and becomes its own, like a shared bathroom, if you like. So it costs more money to do, and some of the room layouts weren't optimum, but we've done it just in case that was to come in. But it's quiet. We've not seen or heard anything of it just yet, and we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and I do think it will play out. I mean, and as you said, there's HMO is a relatively mature market, and probably there's 90% of stuff we know, whereas if you look at maybe serviced accommodation, I'd argue to people there's like 50% of what you actually know that's going to come with regulation, financing, etc. And what also does happen is that it doesn't always just follow that you'll just lose profit. The reality is rents will go up, or you'll potentially then well, I also don't think the council's kind of thought about where they've done this is okay, I can understand the logic, read it, but then if you then did it on a single AST, and whether that was to a company and a corporate let, what then happens? And I do actually, from a fairness perspective, I can understand. You've got a family house with 4 people in it. You've got an HMO next door with 8 people in it. In terms of bins, etc. And I think the sensible thing would be to actually agree, a new classification for it and have a separate band. Yeah. It really doesn't make sense to go from £1,000 per year to 8,000. No. And also just the way I know where people have done it, you then get into the complication because they're then single dwellings. Okay, so the person then they're living by themselves, so they actually get a 25% discount. Yeah. Okay, but then they need to submit it. So just in terms of management and admin hassle, and then you're then as landlord get responsible for the council tax when they've moved out. Yeah. And it's just messy. Whereas paying it direct just now it's
crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few good points in there. Like that's the options to start exploring. Is can you put everyone on a single AST, and then every time somebody moves in now, you then distribute a new AST. There could be issues around communal space and all that, but yeah, like there will be some sort of solutions to it if it does come. And I think touchwood it's a good few years off. And I think, hopefully by the time it gets there, I totally agree. A separate band, a separate class is very reasonable.
I also, and I'm not saying, I want to plan for and be aware of it, but I'm not going to over worry about it. I mean, Liverpool 3-4 years ago, so again, I actually thought it was a reasonable thing. So I mean, the good thing about our student ones is they're actually all exempt, so we don't even pay council tax on them, which again I can understand. Well, that's actually a bit illogical. Then again, you've got a family, you've got the family's paying, the students pay nothing, and the landlord pays nothing as well. And Liverpool said they were going to charge us business rates on it, which I thought made sense, but that was 3 years ago, and we've heard nothing since.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
So yeah, but I think my last bit on it. Do you guys put in your contracts that if it was to change, that they would be responsible for it?
Yeah, I think we did this about 2 years ago. We updated the AST to say that we pay for all, the landlord pays for all bills. However, if there was to be banded separately, you'd be paying council tax. Whether that's
whether that's implemented.
There are some issues. I think there are actually issues around that because you can't advertise all bills included, but then say you have to pay one bill and all that. But for now, it's in there just in case, and then it's a negotiation with the tenants.
Yeah, so I think kind of layout to think about if you would potentially need to take en suites out. Yeah. Secondly, you'll probably put it in the contract, but again, even from even ignoring enforceability, whether it'll then actually work for your product to be competitive or not. But then I think third is, there's risks in everything, and stuff will come, stuff will change. Section 24 has come, and I mean I've seen a whole lot of people run away and go into incorporation, etc. And I've never taken that route, and I haven't really been impacted financially from it because we've been able to manage it other ways. Sell some stuff to the company and create a management company that manages over it. Do refurbs when you have to do them. There's different ways. And it's nothing to me is a deal breaker. And even and I do this probably a bit sad, but anyway, I kind of do that risk analysis of some of the properties. I say, okay, fine, what would happen if your product type went. So if your students disappeared, okay, would it work for professionals? Could it work for shared service accommodation? Could it work for supported living? And could it actually go back to single let? And I still find actually a lot of mine would work as a single let.
That's the thing. It's like it's not about you don't. It's when people get emotional about these, which is the problem. It's like when a problem comes up like this or a change, you just work out how you're going to solve it. It's just not getting too worried about it. There's always a way, and there's much more intelligent people out there than us that are finding solutions for these things, and then you can just copy. Like,
exactly.
Straightforward. Yeah,
it's great. You're not at school. You're allowed
not
to
your
copy.
only one.
But the other thing, just the last bit. I mean, Section 24 came into Ireland quite a while ago, and then I've still got one place there. And my rent there has gone from 675 to 1,250.
Really?
Yeah, because everyone stopped buying. No investors came to the market, so it's kind of like okay.
Well, the market sorts itself out, doesn't it?
Exactly.
The market corrects
point.
itself. So there may be a transition phase of a couple of years, but the market will correct itself. So something will happen, and it will work its way out in the end.
No, definitely. So we can just switch gear a little bit.
Yes.
So it's good kind of insights to the market. It seems like you're still obviously want clients, but still support the HMO model. And again, it's probably still is my key strategy that I apply.
Yeah.
You then have a choice though. So fine, you get your model. You're going to do HMOs. And then one of your key questions is, should I self-manage this myself? Great, save 10% off the agent, or should I work with an agent? Obviously, we have a load of questions to you, but what would you say? What are the questions and the kind of considerations a person needs to go through first off before deciding to self-manage and use an agent?
Well, I think there are three models that work. Before I answer, obviously, I run an agency, I use an agent, so I'm very much in that view, and I know you do as well, but I think there are three models for people to consider. And number one is self-managed. You do everything. You're on the ground, you're doing your viewings, you're running your maintenance, you're on your hands and knees fixing stuff where you can, you call in maintenance engineers, whatever you need to do. That's number one, is self-managed. Number two, which we see, the third one is use an agent. So hands-free service, find an agent that can do everything for you. You obviously pay for that service. What I've started to see a bit of an emergence of, which I think is interesting, is like a middle ground, which is basically use an agent for tenant finds. So get somebody to fill your rooms for you, and then you take on the actual management after that point. And like the advanced level of that is you also have like a PA, so you get a virtual assistant or somebody that can take up the brunt of all the work. I think they're really interesting models, and I think there's obviously pros and cons of each. I think going through the motions of managing a property yourself initially is a good thing to do. I think you learn a tremendous amount. You learn about how to fill rooms, you learn rent rates, you learn ASTs, you learn compliance. I also think my biggest learning was that you don't want to do that.
I was about to say, I think it is good to do it because I think you also then realise what you're asking agents to do.
This is the thing. I think there's two reasons why you shouldn't manage yourself. One reason why you should, which is get the experience, understand what it is you're doing. Two reasons why I'd say you really, really shouldn't be doing it over the long term is you need to value the time. Like 100% value your time. There is a certain point where you're going to be all day, every day, looking after 10 to 15 tenants, and you're going to be at the beck and call. And although you may offer a great service, which is great, it will just get to a point where it just stops your growth. You're not going to be able to buy any more houses. You're not going to be spending time off at the weekends. You're always going to have a phone on at 1 o'clock in the morning.
What number of rooms do you think someone can get up to by themselves before it falls over?
I'd say if you, I don't know is the honest answer, but I think if I was doing it myself, I could probably get up to, with a few systems and stuff, probably about 20, 25, and have a busy day, but with a bit of free time here and there as well.
I was going to say about 50. I would have thought that you. I'm not saying it's great, but I would have. And it also depends if they're all in the same location. If you're travelling an hour and a half apart, probably not.
I think there's just the other reason for that is so say if you can do 50 rooms by yourself, all right, fantastic. You manage 50 rooms, you're not paying 10-12%, whatever it is for your agent to manage it for you, but. Do you want that?
We'll just work out. So if you've got 50 rooms, that's
let's say £500 a room.
Yeah. So what's that?
250, 25,000 a month. So 10. So
you're paying. But the reality is you're paying yourself $2,500 to do that job.
Yeah.
Which, and in that you're probably full time. So you're paying yourself $2,500 to do 160 hours.
Yeah.
Or go and package a deal and sell it on, ignoring that, or
that's the thing.
go and get your own property and get $2,500 per month.
If you could do this and have 50 rooms and have that kind of sum of money which you've got, and also be good at it. So because very few people, like the amount of phone calls I get from people that self-manage that say they're really struggling to sell their rooms, really struggling to fill them. I say, well, who's doing the viewings? And I am. It's like, well. And I say, well, I don't think you've got a chance because my sales team are there. Like, they are sales through and through. They're there. They know what they're doing. They clinch the deal. They get people over the line. They'll negotiate. They know the market. And you are a very quiet person. You don't really like speaking to people. So there are some false economies, but forget about that. If you're gonna
just do time for money.
Yeah, it's time for money. But also, it's like, do you want to have a week? Like, do you want to have a weekend where at any point you could get called because there's a water leak, or you could get called because somebody's locked themselves out?
It's also quite different jobs that you get. I mean, a salesperson versus a maintenance person.
They're all different, yeah.
Customer service. Okay, so kind of probably no harm in. Well, sorry, there is another point as well that I think is important. That I think it's probably Sally Lawson I saw this for. It's something like 126 legislative requirements.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
And I just don't believe. I certainly don't know them. And so I think to do it, it's probably good to get experience to know what you're potentially going to pay someone for.
Yeah.
But I don't think in the long run that you should really want to be trading a corporate job or anything.
I personally wouldn't know. I think that there's a much better way to spend your days. Yeah.
And also, and as I say, I mean, the actual risk as well, and the reality is if you don't know the 126 bits of legislation, you're at risk for it. Okay. So then talk through that kind of hybrid model and tell me where you think it might work or might not work for people.
I do think this does kind of work. So this is basically you use an agent to do tenant finds for you. So basically the agent finds the tenants for you and sets all the tenancies up. They go through the legislation, etc., etc. And then you take on the actual management side of it with some sort of VA or PA to take the brunt of the work. I think that's a very kind of savvy model for somebody. I think that it could work very well. You have to be very systems and process orientated. Like, you have to have the kind of the way things are going to work. You have to have some level of knowledge because you're going to have to be training somebody about how to deal with the issues that come in. But overall, I think that model can work very well. But I'd say once again, you're still in that mode of can your VA do things as well as you can? Is it your skill set? And also you're still in that boat of you still may get the calls at 10 o'clock at night. It's still a job, and there's still going to be a fair bit of time in for you.
It's also interesting. So I tried that kind of model once with my student stuff, and what I found was interesting was the first year I was actually in Dubai, so self-managed for 1 year in Dubai. I really would recommend it again, but despite what the agents would say that each house gets the same priority, the reality was, didn't realise till I did it, was even though they said that, it's kind of like, well, why would they do that? They've got this management here, they're going to get money the whole year. They got a tenant fine, they're going to get money first off. So I mean, in fairness, all the houses still went, but I remember it. I mean, it just wasn't systemised at all. But it was, I can't remember. It was like 2 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, and people were at the beach, having a drink outside the apartment. And I was going through a spreadsheet, and I had 2 brothers in a house who were called Smith, so John and David. Their parents were guarantors, and then there was a Smith in another house. And I was kind of looking at these figures that were coming into the bank accounts, not being able to reconcile from one to the other, and it was a difference of like 20 pence at a time. So I think, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So I think one of the challenges I do think as well, folks, that you should be aware of is how quick you can then fill them.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, how much money are you going to save as well? I mean, that's the other thing. If we kind of said it's $2,500 for 50 rooms on one model, here it's going to be less because it's really, can you take 2.5 down to 2,000 or to 1,500, because you're going to have to pay for your people and you're still going to have to pay the tenant fines.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, so I suppose the first question, do you think people can actually save the cost by doing that? Will they actually save money?
No, I think that the second model is somebody that's been on some courses and they realise they should value their time and they shouldn't really kind of get too heavy. They should be like, get somebody else to do it, like pay somebody properly, value my time, and I'll use a VA, etc. But in my experience, it tends to be the people that do this tend to be people that are tinkerers, and they do they just have an issue really letting go and really letting go of it. So I think it can work. I think that in my experience, because we've sometimes had people that have done this with us, the PAs tend to be very they don't really know what they're doing, and that causes issues, and there can be a lot of work just managing that person. But if you get somebody over time, it could work quite well. Finding an agent that will do tenant finds for you well, that's quite challenging, because unless you're going to pay quite a high price, why would they do it over their own stock and portfolio? And really, you're still quite heavily involved in the day-to-day. So for me that model doesn't work. I think it could be a much longer term solution though, because if you can bring somebody on to train them up over time, it could work okay.
Yeah, well that's what I'm saying. So I definitely don't think it works at 50, but I do potentially kind of think it maybe works at 200 rooms or 250 rooms.
Yeah.
So it's the same. I mean, I'm at the, I'll talk about a third of a minute. I mean, I'm at the full managed one at the moment, but I'd actually argue I'm a bit of a hybrid in that I get actively involved in the maintenance. So I have, you know, I mean, and again, it depends, because the cost I've looked at that I think I can impact most is the actual maintenance. So in terms of, we go 150 rooms, so again, you've got to understand what an agent will do for you. An agent will say, yeah, we'll look after it like our own house. Well, the reality is, you've got 300 rooms. I just don't believe any agent can do. And at what point, how much research do you expect them to do about finding a TV? How much research do you expect them to do about finding the best sofas that are out there? And that's why for kind of maintenance, I'd rather have, and the person who's my maintenance manager comes from an interior design background, but she knows all the lads that we work with, so she can kind of manage all the subbies, but then she can actually go away and actually make sure, when we have to refresh the prints on the walls, when the sofa's been ripped, etc. And I do. I mean, they probably paying out £1,000 a month, and they've probably been 500,000 in the job bit of it, and then all the material stuff on top. But I see that as it probably saves, the salary saves in terms of the materials it's getting and the end finish. And I think that bit, and I think at a certain point, because I think that's what other people forgetting, margins in agencies businesses aren't huge. So it's kind of, and you see people being charged 60 quid for a gas service, you go do it yourself, sort of thing. And I think people just, you need to manage your time, but then I would also think, what are the bits that you can do? Because could you fill your rooms yourself? Probably not, or you obviously could, but could you do it in time? And if you take it delayed, what's the impact of that? Could you administer the contracts? Yeah, probably. If you do that badly, what's the impact? Probably not a lot. Well, probably at the start. And then if you do your maintenance wrong, or just put it out, what's the impact in it? I think it can actually be quite a high cost, but it doesn't surprise me when you said that people will do the sales bit, because they see that's their money coming in, but then they probably haven't thought about the other two parts of it.
And there's a lot more involved. It's a lot more involved than you'd imagine.
And I also find, again, kind of harking back to the maintenance, it's kind of, I can do stuff that I think agents can't do, although they'd like to do, because there's a cost. We will say, like, fine, we'll get the guys to go and check the gutters, we'll get to go to do the back of it, but you can't, agents can't just do that for free. So I had to say to them, we're going to do this as part of our report, and we're going to charge. And then on the kind of the full model, then what you do, I mean, what do you see? If someone's looking to work with an agent, what's the sort of things that they should be asking and looking for?
I think so. It's a really, really good question. So I would say one of the first things they should ask about is, it's a very open question. Like, what hours do your sales team work? And if you manage a professional HMO, if they say to you, they do 9 till 3 or 9 till 5 or whatever, or they just do 9 till 3 and then every other Saturday, it's not the answer you want to hear. It should be they have no set hours, they're literally full time, they're commission based, they work the hours they need to work, and they get paid a very high commission for every room sold. That's a no brainer for me. I'd probably ask about team members and back office, like what is it they do? Like you really want to have an agent that's got a real focus. So if you want like a high level service, you need people in the back office that have got a focus, like one credit controller, one property manager, one maintenance manager. So they've got the focus, because a lot of agencies, and arguably like I don't think that this works very well, is when you've got somebody that's trying to do literally everything. When you've got somebody that's like a lettings manager that goes out, does the viewings, they also put through people through paperwork, they also manage maintenance, they also do the credit control. There's always something that's going to fall apart.
I agree. It's a different skill set. Someone like, for Liverpool stuff, who's a great salesperson.
Yeah.
I think she's almost bullies. She's very efficient at that. Whereas, kind of doing your maintenance stuff and making sure keys are checked out, making sure that it's just different jobs, making sure you actually has the job been done, hasn't been completed. A salesperson, I don't think you want to have that attention to detail.
No.
Salesperson, you want to be speaking, come and see this, have you seen this? It's almost selling the sizzle, and then it's kind of like once the deal's done, they want to be able to throw that over
that's the bit and then after that.
let someone with the attention to detail. And also, I think, it's probably too much detail, but it's kind of like, what you don't want is you want some way of making sure you're, from an office perspective, your salesperson won't just give it to anyone to get a commission.
Yeah.
And the reality is you can't really trust them. That's why you're back up. And to me, I'd want to see that there's segregation of duties, that in terms of doing the risks and the guarantors was done separate from the salesperson.
Yeah. Well, I think so. Another point as well is just capacity. So like we've always got capacity. Like we know exactly what we can go to this year with like a certain size, and this is where it's like very common. Like with letting agents in particular, it's all about grow, and like they're not building the back office to support it. Like I think most agencies should be very strategic in terms of saying, right, well, we know with the team we've got, we can manage 300 rooms, 300, like 500, 1,000, whatever that looks like, whatever that number is, it's fine. That needs to be a conversation, because that needs to be really considered. Where the model doesn't work is when people just grow, and then everything breaks, and they just don't have the capacity. Like that's where you see service levels drop, and we've done that in the past, 100%. Like we grew too quickly, we didn't have the back office for it, and we built it out. But now we're very strategic, saying, right, we've got these people. This property manager can manage 150 rooms, this one 250. We've got this person, sales team. We've got these people. They can fill this amount per month, and if you do that well, then generally the service level should be very good as well. So it's just, that's a real consideration that people don't ask to.
So understanding rules, understanding times.
Yeah.
How so you get different agencies. You get agencies that just do rooms, just do professionals, just do students, versus you get agencies that do a bit of everything. Do you think it's important that they're specialising 100%?
From my experience, and what we do, we just do professional house shares. Like if we so there, we do actually manage I think it's 5 single lets, because they're a result of we own them. And like just doing that differently, it should be more simple, more straightforward. It is hard. You have to change all your processes, etc. Like from what I've seen, my experience, like you want to be. Dan talks about this, like property entrepreneur program, inch wide, mile deep. So I would suggest going with a specialist agent for what it is that you want. So if it's single let, go to some of the single lets. If it's students, go to some of the students. If it's HMOs, go to some of the HMOs. I think that I would 100% go that way, but just be aware you will pay more. So if you go to a specialist agent, if you go to a HMO specialist agent, you're going to pay more than somebody that does single lets that's bolting on HMOs, but you get what you pay for, in my view.
Yeah. 90% of the time.
90% of the time, yeah.
Do you think there's an optimal? So that's probably talking more from an investor here. Against a bit of a loaded question. Do you think there's an optimal size of an agency for an investor to work with?
No, you get everyone on different growth schemes and growth paths. So you get your people that are starting out. They're on the WhatsApp groups. They're quite active. They want to take stuff on. They're managing 20, 30, 40 rooms, and they're growing now on their growth curve. They can be really good to get in with, and you probably get a relatively reasonable price, and you probably get an excellent service. But it'll probably be short lived, because if they're growing at the rate they will be, they'll burn out very quickly. They'll need to recruit a team, and it will fall apart. And they
might not grow as well.
And they might not, yeah. So if somebody's not hungry for growth and they're just doing a few bits and pieces, I imagine that if you can find a one-man band, not hungry for growth, managing their own portfolio, taking on, say, another 10, 15 rooms for an extra income, that'd be a very good place to go. I would then probably go at the more mature end, where the growth is less of a focus, and they're kind of stabilising, steady, got a constant team, people that have been there for a couple of years, know what they're doing. That middle ground, it can be good, but I think it's very rocky, and I only know that from our experience because we were rocky. Like when we were rapidly growing, we did our best, but it was rocky, and then you kind of get around to the other side and you mature, and service gets very good, I think.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that, and I think you can map it up. You'll definitely get some people to start because they're starting, and they'll spoil you, but it's an uncertainty.
It's the same with any business, isn't it? Find a solicitor that's starting out, they're exceptional. Like find one that's churning out clients. It's just a dreadful service. It's the same. Like it's the same any industry, any business.
But then I think what I find, and it's not just an agent, it's with everything. I don't really like to work with large organisations because I just don't think you get the same value.
Yeah.
Whereas what I kind of find, your typical kind of trades guys are self-employed, their own business, a couple of staff. Same with Rachel on the kind of facility side. And typically, say with all my agencies, although one is national now, but up till then they've all been kind of city based.
Yeah.
And typically with one or two shops as well. Kind of know more as the owner, so you can meet with the owner, you can go through it, and it's not up to me to tell an agency not to go and not to go national.
Yeah.
But I do think just in terms of that value, having that focus, because it is, again, I do think there's something about knowing the streets, knowing where you're taking people to, having the sales guys having that conversation about, the train's there, the buses there, I get everything can be automated, everything can be processed, but people are people, and ultimately they do need to sell it. And also the advice though as well. I mean that's the other thing that I find is actually speaking to agents and saying, look, you need to do this. If you spend this, we can get you £10 extra per week. But then it's kind of like, well, is it actually worth spending £10 worth spending X to get £10 extra?
I mean, that would be my kind of view. The kind of small to medium sized, relatively mature agents, but obviously we know both those national agents that do a very good job. So I speak to them, see what, because processes are powerful. So like what is powerful is like, and when you get to that maturity level, you've got like a process. We have a process for everything, like hostile tenant move outs, like evictions, arrears, and it becomes very process driven. And if you've got a good quality process and there's somebody that's a good team member managing that, they'll also give that personal touch and they'll make sure that it's not just all process driven. When you start off when the people are starting at start that journey, they don't have any processes. It's just like manic. They'll just do what they can. And there's some nice elements of that, but are they doing it legally? You don't know. So you want to get to that level of process, but you also want to make sure the people behind are a good level. And there are agencies that do it, and that's what you want.
And what would you say as well? So we've asked a lot about your view and stuff, and what agents can do, and how to work with, how to optimise them, but also something I think investors don't do themselves any favours. I mean, what to you, is the things that you would want from an investor that would kind of say, I want to manage his or her portfolio.
Yeah,
that's a good person to work with that you're kind of happy with.
I think it's a really interesting question, and we always talk about it in terms of our values. Like we offer like high end, like quality service, quality properties, good quality tenants. Like we work on a basis of if somebody's got an issue, we want to get it solved quickly. Like it's not about like money. Obviously, money plays into it, but it's more important that we offer level of service than saving £10. Like that's the way. That's the way we operate and the way we run. And it is about the service for our tenants. We also want landlords that aren't too involved. Like we want people to just trust us and let us crack on. But we do want people that are gonna. So we want people that are going to review the statements, though. So we don't want it to go too far. From our perspective, our ideal client is a landlord that is professional. They're not emotional. They're a professional investor, so they're not emotionally attached to the income, but they understand it's income and that it's an investment they've made. They want to just trust us to crack on for a high level of quality service, and ideally their main involvement will be once a month, go through their statement and ask any questions. Like that's the way we find it operates the best, and like that to us is like the ideal client. That works very, very well.
And really, I think the thing to me that you said there in terms of kind of trust, what is an example of when people don't trust it in terms of, I'm trying to think what are the things that you'll see with certain people when is it wanting to like get 20 prices for a job, or is it chat saying I want to come out and do viewings?
So we don't work with many people like this anymore because over the years we've kind of shredded our skin, and you'll find those people like the relationships don't last long when it's like that. But for us, it doesn't anyway. We just kind of get a bit tired of it and just kind of think like this isn't the way we want to work. And I guess it's just, for example, washing machine breaks. For us, it's like, well, we've got engineers in house. We'll send somebody over for a call out fee, and hopefully they'll be able to fix it there and then. Like they should be able to. Like if it's a seal issue, like 9 times out of 10 they can fix it. They go over, they can't fix it, and they're like, right, we're gonna have to get a specialist now. It's like, well, then if there's an argument about that call out fee, it's like, well, hold on a second. Like 9 times out of 10 we do this for you, fix it on the day, and if we'd called a specialist, it would have cost you 90 quid. We've done it for 35. It's all done and dusted. Or in fact, we've done it while we're on a specialist. It's only cost like £20. That to me, that's impeccable service, and that's what I want on my portfolio. When you start arguing about that 35 quid for arguing the level of service it could have given, that's an example where the values don't particularly fit in line. And if you think about what that 35 quid is as well, that person's gone out, we can then message the tenant and say, guys, thank you for reporting your washing machine. You reported it this morning, we've gone out the same day to have a look at it. We're so sorry, we can't seem to get it to work, although we've tried this, and this. We believe the issue is this, and we've now seen it, so we can offer you like a laundry service until it's fixed, 1 wash a week, whatever, look, keep your receipts and send them through. Like that service has then just gone like that. And that's like the level that we try and operate at. When you start to have an argument about the 35 quid, and it's cost so much time and energy when we just want to get the washing machine fixed, that's not something.
Yeah, no, guys, so you impact the end client in terms of the customer, but then you don't value your own time as well. I mean, I do remember someone was into me about what some agent charged for like a Hoover, and because there was a price and then there was a markup on it, and it was like, but they had to go and buy it. They had to go and take it to your place and deliver it.
Move all the packaging. Dispose of the packaging. People don't see it, but I get it.
And again, maybe I should look at mine more. But mine is just a time thing. So the kind of views of the agents is up to kind of the 350, they just do it. There's no approval or anything, and then they copy in my. So they copy in Rachel, who's the facilities person, and she'll either say she'll get one of the guys to do it, or if one of our guys can't do it, they'll do it, but they just do it up to 350. It's I've worked with them, and I know a lot of the tradespeople, but it's that idea of go and get 3 quotes. It's kind of like, well, your costs then will get higher. So I don't ask my plumbers, my sparks, do the stuff, invoice me. Look at it, are you happy with it, are they doing a good job? I think too many times we focus on price and not actually value from it.
Yeah, absolutely, and like all the time while you're faffing around spending weeks trying to get 3 quotes, the tenants are in there getting annoyed, getting frustrated, thinking about giving a notice in, like it's just a false economy.
But also I think, and what's even worse with that is when the shit goes wrong, when it does at the weekend, you've got your spark, your plumber, your roofer, and you've always paid them on time, you're always giving them repeat work, they'll help you out when you need 100%. It. It's
massive.
And I just wouldn't underestimate. And I would go back to again, the margins in these businesses aren't huge. No. So I don't, and you also have to think if you're a landlord that's a pain in the arse to the agency. If I think it's just natural that agency will then say, well, in his rooms, I'll go and this guy landlord's nice to me. They'll get more preference. I know you'll say everyone's neutral, but I just think bias is going to come into things.
Well, I mean, like you always try to remain neutral, but the reality is, like, people work hard for people they like. So although I'm very neutral, like even in my portfolio, like it just gets managed the same as everybody else. But my team, the reality is, like, if you're a really lovely landlord, you're always fantastic with them. You're so like kind. It's just how to influence people. Like if you're a kind person, people want to give back, don't they? So although everyone's human at the end of the day, so I do recommend landlords they do their best to.
So I think if you're going to go down the agent route, trust them, let them get on with the job. Don't interfere, but then at the same time, take your responsibilities, check your statements.
Yeah, check your statements, and then have conversations, and just say, look, I checked the statement. What happened with this? You go, oh, we did this because this and this. Oh, that's very reasonable. Thank you for getting it sorted. However, in future, anything over £70, can we reduce the limit, and you notify me? That's a conversation done. That's what I suggest. Don't leave it a year to check your statements. And go, what the hell is this? What have you done that? And then they have to spend 3 days digging through 6 months. Just have that open dialogue and communication. And it is like normally you'll start off, and there will be teething issues. Over time, you'll work out the way of doing stuff.
And do many investors actually visit their property once they've given them to you?
No, actually, I think.
Do you think that's a fault of investors?
Not if they get good inspection reports. Every month they have an inspection report with photos of everything. So why would you need to go and see it?
I'm a control freak.
Yeah, I've not been in one of my properties, and like when it's done, like I'll normally go for the snagging session.
Don't get me wrong. I sold the property in Wales last year, and I've never even been to from buying to selling it, and it caused me problems.
Yeah.
I've got one in Birmingham I've never been in, and I've bought it twice now, but it's another story.
Yeah.
I do think. I mean, I still think there's a difference between seeing something, and also when a lot of my houses, I can go around 8 houses in a day.
Yeah.
I could probably do it in half a day.
Yeah.
They're so close.
You don't get inspection reports.
No, get inspection reports, but it's stuff like So we just look. We go around to work out what has to be done, but also what we can do to add value.
Yeah, cool.
So it's a bit of both.
You go for you go in and you will check up on what the agent's doing. However, it's more like that's 20% of it. It's like looking at the actual house and seeing what you can do.
Yeah, and it's also, I use it as well. So I'll talk to the tenants / students, professionals are there, and it's kind of my feedback. What do you think? And I'm not auditing the agents, but I do say to them, how do you get on with the agency, etc. How do you find this house? How do you prefer the city centre? Do you hear any noises? Blah blah blah. That stuff.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't encourage that then. I don't think that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, and it's not, but it is. The agents push back to start with. They're a little bit. Well, why would you do that? Well, we do this for you. And it's my stuff. I just want to. Manage, and also I want to be able to manage stuff as we go along, rather than in one big blast. And I like houses, but I do. It's that debate: work in your business or work on your business, and I think you need to take a bit of both of them. And I just think that's my time out in the field as well. And again, and it's even just good to do it again because you do realise how long the time takes, having the right keys, or someone's told them that you'd come in, they didn't know you were coming in, having to make sure that they're okay. You realise that nothing is as straightforward as what you think it is from the back office. Even one situation with a tenant, claiming someone had broken into a top window and had stolen a mirror from their wall, and this top window is like 200 feet up, and it's kind of like, well, why would you have come round your flat? And and then the agency had they had to go around and listen this from him, and they'd actually so there was then a charge for it, and in fairness and then I kind of looked at the guy's mad, but they actually charged the tenant for it. But then he was speaking to me for 20 minutes. I'm like, God, they have to go through this. I've got to go through it.
Yeah, I think that so that's that. It's not a bad idea, is it?
Yeah. Okay. If people want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to do it?
A few different ways. You can get me on LinkedIn, Joshua Keegan, Facebook, Josh Keegan, Instagram, I don't know what that was called, or you can just email me, josh@zestpropertymanagement.co.uk.
Okay. Appreciate your time.
No worries, it's been very good.
Look forward to hearing what you're doing in the HMO market in Greater Manchester in the next 12 months or so.
Very good. Thanks very much, Billy.
Thanks, sir.
Cheers.